Hey guys, so today we're going to talk about Feng Shui and more specifically about wealth in Feng Shui. And I have a key story that I want to share with you, which actually kind of triggered this whole video because I wanted to film something completely different. And then these couple of stories came to me one day after another. And I thought I want to really share this with you because this is what can lead to disaster. It's knowing that you don't know is excellent. Not knowing that you don't know can lead to disaster. So, what am I talking about? This day, a patient of mine came and she'd talked with a colleague of mine about her feng shui analysis. So, she told me actually that she'd had problems sleeping because she constantly kept thinking about how to earn more money, earn more money, earn more money, earn more money. So that was everything that was on her mind. She would go to sleep, well, she would get into bed, go to sleep, try to get to sleep, and all night she would fuss and be agitated and restless, thinking about, oh my God, how can I make more money, more money, more money? And it's not like she's poor. It's not like she has real money issues. It's just that she tends to be a spender and she tends to spend more than would be advisable, and she finds it very difficult to keep money, right? So there was no objective reason for her to think more about money than normal. But ever since she had moved into this new apartment and had this feng shui assessment done by a colleague of mine, she kept being restless, and this is what the phrase sounded like, the phrase she used in describing to me what she felt. So I get in there and I can't sleep very well because I'm very restless because I keep thinking about money. And this is so, for me, it was so wow, because it was textbook, literally, obviously textbook of what I had learned, and a literal example of how not to use feng shui and when not to use so-called good sectors, right? So what am I talking about? It was immediately clear to me. I asked to see the feng shui analysis, and it was immediately clear to me what had gone wrong. And I'm going to present it to you guys. And let me just start my share screening because I have a presentation prepared for you. So this is a theoretical explanation. I didn't want to pinpoint her actual place of residence, but this is something that I made so that it fits the case, so that I can have something to actually show you, right? So here where the yellow pin is would be a place of residence, like a house or like a block of flats, similar to hers, right? And the reason why we look at these kinds of things from above, from the whole bird's eye perspective, right, is that feng shui always, 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 at least good feng shui, the one that works, is starting from this bird's eye view. It starts from the understanding of the wider environment. And this is absolutely key. This is absolutely essential if we are to understand what the energy in the environment is, and also the relationships of things of the in the environment and how they impact that. When we look at such a big picture, the two things that we want to identify are large bodies of water and mountains or hills or something like that, right? So here immediately we see that this big lake here is just down below this place of residence. So if we put the cardinal directions, we can clearly see that we have a lake in the south. The placement of water in feng shui is absolutely crucial. Now you may be thinking that, okay, if we look here, right, it's quite obvious that maybe there's about 500 to 800 meters to almost a kilometer to this body of water. So you may be thinking, but that's very far away. She may not even be seeing it. Yes, that is correct. However, you need to take into consideration the proportionality, right? So if you look at it, this is a fairly large lake. If it were just a very small lake, it wouldn't matter. Or it would matter only if it were just next to the building. If it's such a large body of water, the larger the body of water, then the stronger its effects, the longer the distance, the effect will actually travel. So here it's large enough so that it's obviously needed to be taken into account. And where do we find it in relationship to the place of residence, to where this person lives? It's in the south. Now, there is this thing called direct spirit and indirect spirit. This is a concept in Feng Shui, which goes a little bit like this. Some sectors, 4 sectors, are always called direct spirit in a given period. The other 4 sectors are indirect spirit. And direct spirit refers to what? It refers to the fact that some cardinal sectors receive an energy that is more yang. It's more activating, right? Think of yang in terms of active. Think of yang in terms of, really, really pushing things, making things, a lot of hustle and bustle, all the activity that you would normally associate with a busy market, right? And of course, this activity we want to have when it comes to business. We don't want to have it when it comes to resting, sleeping, recuperating, healing, relationships, everything where the attention is more towards the private life, towards the inside, towards peace and harmony. We want the energy to be a little bit more subdued, a little bit more restful, right? Here we can see that it's very active. First and foremost, the South is one of those direct spirit sectors, so it itself is very active by itself. And then we have this body of water which falls into the South sector. Now, water in Feng Shui is activating already, right? So we find a yang element. The water in Feng Shui is regarded as a yang activating element, which is present in an already yang sector, right? So yang with yang is too much yang. This is called a misalignment of water. We don't want to see water on such a bad direction, or actually cardinal sector. Why? Because it's going to result in sleeplessness, right? So why did I feel the need to do this video for you guys? Because the idea that started it all was this thing called Sheng-Chi. And some of you guys who are knowledgeable, at least, you've dabbled a bit with Feng Shui, maybe you've heard about this sector. It's called the prosperity sector. Sheng-Chi is, assumingly, if you're a very beginner in the art and science of Feng Shui, Sheng-Chi is regarded as the most positive sector that there is. Of course, this is a very, very beginner, shallow approach. And the whole reason for me doing this video is to showcase you guys that if you do Feng Shui at such a shallow level, you risk getting results that are far worse than you could expect, and you won't understand why. So this video is for me to explain to you what happened to this client of mine, and to also showcase you what a very superficial approach can bring, right? Because I've encountered many would-be clients of Feng Shui who tried to do it themselves by reading out of books and getting very superficial information out of those books or courses. And they would think that, hey, if I see that for my house, this is the prosperity sector, I'm going to try and sleep there, or do stuff there, and it's going to be fine. The prosperity sector, as the name implies, is good, or is correspondent to prosperity. That means you need to be active, you need to be working in there. And even then, it may not necessarily be a good thing, because it depends on the stars that you have. You see these numbers here? These are so-called flying stars. And the flying stars are nothing else than energies from various celestial bodies or galaxies that create the structure, the energetic structure that influences that particular area. So if we spend more time in such an area, that influence will imprint itself on us with the effects that it brings. So what did my colleague do wrong? Well, she didn't take into account the fact that my client was going to sleep here. She missed that part out because you see, if you think about prosperity, you think about working. If you think about sleeping, that's a whole different energy. So on the one hand, you have the action that my client was trying to do, which is to sleep there. And the other was the energetic structure of the sector, which was more inclined towards working. So this would be a kind of a clash of energies. Furthermore, right, you have these flying stars, 1-6. Now, a 1-6 combination is a very, very good combination. But again, showcasing for a little bit more advanced viewers, if you're watching, right, how even a good combination can turn bad if the context is not favorable. And how is this not favorable? Well, as you see, there's a certain internal dynamic between these two stars, which makes the energy flow from the 6, which is the yang position of the flying star, towards the 1, which is the yin position, right? What does that mean? It means that this flow of energy makes the general flow of energy to be focused more towards the inside. Now, why does that matter? Well, it matters if you want to rest, right? So this is something that is ideal if you want to rest and sleep there. It is certainly not ideal if you want to work there, right? So this is where the actual dichotomy, the divergence of two different energies created a turmoil in the client that I'm telling you about, right? So we have the sleeping, which as an activity is supposed to turn you inwards. We have these two flying stars, which together they create a motion towards the inside and towards the internal. And then we have the Shang-Chi as a sector, which is activating because it makes you think about money, right? And we have the water, which is very good for money, but it's water on a sector which shouldn't actually receive water because the effect will be a hyperactivation, a kind of a hypervigilance, an agitation, a restlessness, rather than the productive work that should be taking place. So what was the actual result, the convergence of all these forces? How did this translate for my client? Well, all the prosperity that was supposed to come here was actually not prosperous because, again, water on a sector that doesn't want to see water, and the whole busy vibe of the water and of the prosperity was actually turned towards the inside rather than be focused on an outside activity, which was given by the dynamic between these two stars and the action of sleeping, right? So it kind of takes a dynamic which should be good, and because it's misplaced, because it happens on the inside and not on the outside, you worry about money instead of actually working to get it. And because it was misaligned with the activity, because the activity was sleeping, not working, all this created a contradiction. So basically, what I'm trying to showcase you guys, even if you don't understand all the technical stuff, and I did mention some of the technical stuff because some of you guys may have some knowledge of Feng Shui, right? What I want to showcase you is that you could have heard from somebody that, hey, you know, there's this thing called Feng Shui, and there's this thing in Feng Shui where you can calculate the sectors, and you just, all you have to do is spend more time in the prosperity sector, and all that's going to do is bring you more money. My client didn't earn more money by sleeping in this, even though sleeping there meant that she would be spending 7-8 hours a day at least in that sector. So it did not bring her money. It brought her a lot more worries about money. So what did I tell her to do? I told her to move the bed. Now, when I say sleep in that sector, you need to imagine that these sectors actually correspond to the inside of the house. So we would take the floor plan of such an apartment or a house, and we would see what area inside the house falls into the south sector or northeast sector or whatever sector, right? So they can grow smaller or bigger. The scale may change, but the overall disposition doesn't. So what I recommended to this client of mine was to put her bed into the northeast sector, which was her personal sector. And the personal sector was much more peaceful. It did not have water. It had excellent flying stars, especially as she is in the beginning of a new relationship. And also, ironically, this is again for more advanced users, blending Bazi, which is Chinese astrology, with Feng Shui. For her, the star number 9, which has a fire energy, translates into money. So basically, we kind of get 2 rabbits with 1 stone, because this 9 in this position translates into joyfulness and emotional warmth and all good stuff like that, exceptional for relationships. But at the same time, it also brings a money vibe, but in such a way that it's not disruptive at all when it comes to inner peace and ability to sleep well. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope this has proved, instructive for you. My takeaway that I would want you guys to get from this is that don't think that Feng Shui is something that is that easy, that you just learn it from a book. You just look up the prosperity sector in your house and you do stuff there, and suddenly you're going to earn more money. It's much, much, much more complex than that. And it might actually hinder your finances, because if you have bad flying stars, like for example, if you have a star 5 in your prosperity sector, if you actually spend more time there, it's going to not only give you more financial difficulties, it's actually going to focus your entire life on those financial difficulties. So it can get really bad really fast if you don't know what you're doing. So my advice to you, if you want to use Feng Shui to your benefit, and it's incredibly powerful for money matters, for relationships, for health, seek out a knowledgeable person, a knowledgeable consultant, and you need to get advice from somebody who is really well trained in order to get the results that you want, and not get the surprise that, hey, my life is actually turning completely haywire, right? So I hope this has been instructive for you. And if so, remember, like, subscribe. Maybe you have some friends that are dabbling into Feng Shui, and they might be running the risk of doing stuff that they don't understand. So maybe if you do, give them a share them this video, and do them a favor. Right. So I'll see you in the next video.